Elena Rios was 8 when her mother first said it. "Don't make a scene." The words landed softly, but they lingered like a bruise. It was at her uncle's birthday dinner. Laughter too loud, the table too polished, and Mariah's smile stretched like glass. A hand brushed too long against Elena's shoulder, and the air turned heavy. When she tried to speak, her mother's hand found her wrist beneath the table. "Not now, sweetheart." Years later, those same words echoed in newsroom corridors, in meetings where men interrupted her mid-sentence, in moments when truth begged to be spoken. Now, standing in front of a wall of evidence pinned beneath fluorescent light, faces, ledgers, whispered testimonies, she realized silence was the family heirloom, and she was ready to break it. Maria still says it even now. The words have become reflex, the mother tongue of endurance. When Elena shows her a folder of names, Maria's first instinct isn't shock, but fear. "Don't make trouble, Mia. You don't know who these men are." But Elena does. They are the kind of men who smile in photos, donate to causes, and leave bruises no camera can see. She watches her mother fold a napkin perfectly in half, the same motion she used to fold away emotion. "If you make a scene," Maria whispers, "they'll make you pay." Elena thinks of every time she's already paid for someone else's silence, and closes the folder with a quiet final click. In the newsroom, Elena watches colleagues laugh over takeout, unaware that she's sitting on a detonator. The evidence she's gathered could sink careers, maybe lives. Talia catches her gaze and whispers, "Once you publish, there's no undoing." Elena doesn't look up. Good. The word lands with the weight of inheritance, finally breaking. That night, Maria lies awake, staring at the ceiling fan. Her daughter's determination terrifies her, not because it's wrong, but because it's right. She remembers the same helpless fire in her own chest 30 years ago, the night she decided to stay quiet. The fan spins, and with each rotation, the sound becomes the ticking of a clock running out. Morning again. Elena steps into the street, the city humming alive around her. She walks faster than she breathes, each footfall sensing with the words that shaped her, and the resolve that will unmake them. "Don't make a scene." Her mother's voice again, but now it sounds different. Now it sounds like a dare. The deeper Elena digs, the older the story becomes. Each file she uncovers feels like déjà vu, a loop of damage repeating across generations. When she traces one of the earliest complaints in the archive, her breath stills at a familiar name. Maria Rios, 1992. Her mother's handwriting, shaky but unmistakable, detailing a hostile work environment at a foundation gala run by the same man now leading the Lamb Foundation. Elena presses her palm against the paper. The ink has faded, but the silence around it still screams. At home, Elena confronts Maria with the document. For a moment, Maria's face collapses into something raw. Fear, grief, recognition. Before hardening again, "I told you some truths are too expensive." Elena holds the paper up like evidence at trial. "You weren't protecting me, Mama. You were protecting him." Silence. Then Maria, quietly, "No, Mia, I was protecting you from becoming me." The room thickens with 30 years of unsaid words. The next day, Elena visits the Lang Foundation's headquarters under the guise of interviewing staff for a profile piece. The lobby gleams, marble floors, gold-trimmed walls, the illusion of benevolence. Behind every smile, she senses fear, masquerading as loyalty. A receptionist offers coffee, eyes flickering nervously toward the security camera above. This place doesn't just hide secrets, it feeds on them. That night, Maria opens an old shoebox buried in her closet, photographs from charity galas, news clippings, and a folded letter she never mailed. It's addressed to the Board of Trustees. Her hands tremble as she reads her own words, written 3 decades ago, begging for justice no one ever answered. A tear stains the page, blurring ink that once carried her last courage. Elena drives home under the glow of streetlights, the city flickering like a film reel. The paper in her passenger seat feels alive, her mother's silence reincarnated in ink. For the first time, she doesn't feel alone in her fight. She feels haunted and chosen. The sins of the past weren't buried. They were waiting for her to dig them up. Elena's press badge opens doors that truth cannot. The Lang Foundation's media gala hums with self-congratulation. Champagne glasses, polite applause, and the click of cameras freezing lies in perfect light. David Lang stands at the podium, mid-40s, handsome in a predatory way. His smile is a blade polished for public use. Elena watches him through her lens, every flash capturing not his face, but his facade. When their eyes meet, she feels it. Recognition. The kind predators have when they see something that can bite back. After the event, Elena slips down a side corridor, her press badge flashing in the dim light. She finds a door marked staff only and pushes inside. The storage room smells of dust and paper, forgotten things. She opens a filing cabinet and freezes. Stacks of non-disclosure agreements, labeled by year. Each one a silenced life. The weight of their signatures feels heavier than any weapon. The next morning, Talia corners her by the vending machine. "You're playing with fire," she warns, voice low. Lang's people control the board, the donors, the police reports, everything. Elena cracks open a can of soda. The hiss echoes like defiance. Then it's time someone burned their house down. Talia studies her for a long moment, then sighs. Then, I guess, I'm bringing the matches. At home, Maria watches the news. Footage of Lang shaking hands with politicians, smiling for cameras. Her heart tightens. She knows that smile. It's the same one that haunted her 30 years ago. When Elena returns that night, Maria doesn't lecture. She simply says, "If you're going to fight him, don't do it alone." The silence between them breaks, not loud, but final. The next day, Elena records her first anonymous interview with a former employee of the foundation. The woman trembles, voice cracking as she recounts how Lang's charm turned to menace behind closed doors. Elena listens. No interruptions, no pity, only space. When the recorder stops, the woman whispers, "You won't let him bury me again, will you?" Elena looks her in the eye. No. This time, the burial's his. The article goes live at dawn. Within hours, it spreads like wildfire. Retweets, hashtags, headlines. The foundation calls it defamatory fiction. David Lang releases a statement praising truthful journalism while condemning false narratives. The irony burns like acid. Elena watches the numbers climb. Views, shares, comments. But each new metric feels less like victory and more like exposure. Then her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. "You should evade quiet." By noon, the newsroom smells like adrenaline and fear. Editors argue over statements. Lawyers hover like vultures. Talia grips Elena's arm. "They're cutting you off the byline." Elena laughs, hollow. She doesn't need credit. She needs the truth to live. Still, when she sees her name scrubbed from the article, a quiet grief takes root. For years, she fought to have a voice. And now, even her victory is stolen from her. That night, Maria waits up with the TV on mute, scrolling through headlines on her phone. The comment sections tear her daughter apart. Liar, attention seeker, crazy. Every insult lands like a replay of her own buried shame. She looks toward the framed photo of young Elena, smiling in her school uniform. "I told you not to make a scene." She whispers into the silence, voice trembling. But maybe I was wrong. Lang strikes back. He files a defamation suit. The news cycle flips. The woman Elena interviewed recants. "I felt pressured," she says on camera, her eyes dead with fear. Elena's inbox fills with threats. Her editor advises a cooling period. Her lawyer calls it damage control. But when Elena's laptop screen goes black mid-draft, and she sees her reflection, tired, furious, and unafraid, she whispers, "They picked the wrong woman to silence." A week later, Elena stands before the mirror, fixing her hair, buttoning her shirt. Her mother's bracelet glints in the light. Silver, defiant, unbreakable. She's been invited to a televised debate about ethics in investigative reporting. She knows it's a trap, a stage built to humiliate her. But she accepts anyway, because sometimes the only way to survive the fire is to walk straight into it. The studio lights burn like interrogation lamps. Elena sits beneath them, microphone clipped to her blazer, hands steady on her lap. Across the stage, David Lang smiles, the same polished expression that fooled everyone else. The host begins. "Tonight, we explore the ethics of exposure." Elena listens as Lang spins his narrative. Benevolent leader, misunderstood philanthropist. But when he says, "It's dangerous to let emotions drive journalism," she finally looks up. "You're right," she says evenly. "Emotion is dangerous, especially when it's called by its real name, truth." The moment fractures live on air. Elena takes out a USB drive from her pocket, small but heavy with consequence. "If you won't let me finish," she tells the host, "then let the evidence speak." The footage rolls, hidden camera interviews, bank transfers, and testimonies that dismantle Lang's empire in real time. Gasps ripple through the studio. Lang's face drains of color as the applause light flickers, confused between instruction and instinct. Outside, cameras swarm. Reporters shout questions as Elena exits the studio, flashes strobing like lightning. "Did you plan this? Are you retaliating?" She shields her eyes, smiling for the first time in weeks. Across the street, Maria stands at the edge of the crowd, clutching her coat, watching. For the first time, she doesn't look afraid. When their eyes meet, Maria mouths something soft but unmistakable. "Make the scene." By morning, the clip dominates every feed. Hashtags erupt. Pundits dissect her tone, her words, her hair, her defiance. But beneath the noise, something sacred happens. Women start writing. Letters, emails, confessions. They come in waves, hundreds, then thousands. Each one a spark catching from the scene she dared to make. The silence her mother taught her to keep has become a language the world finally speaks. David Lang resigns in disgrace 3 days later. The foundation shutters. Statements are issued, apologies drafted, but the world has already moved on to her. Elena stands before a crowd at a public forum, speaking about voices that refused extinction. In the audience, Maria watches from the back row, tears glinting in the light. When the applause breaks, Elena closes her notes and looks straight into the lens streaming live to millions. "For every mother who said, 'Don't make a scene,'" she says, voice steady, "Thank you, because now I will." Fame doesn't sound like applause. It sounds like exhaustion. Elena wakes to notifications she didn't ask for. News anchors praising her courage, strangers dissecting her life, old friends resurfacing with hollow pride. Every word feels like surveillance. Talia calls to say she's proud. Maria leaves a voicemail saying she's praying. But when Elena looks in the mirror, she doesn't see victory. She sees a woman learning how public truth still comes with private bruises. The light from her phone screen flickers across her face like an endless headline. Outside, the world moves on, but not kindly. Anonymous accounts call her a liar. Protesters outside her office wave signs reading, "Defend the Foundation." Even some victims she helped turn away, afraid of being seen beside her. Elena walks past them with her hood up, each step heavier than the last. Justice had a taste, metallic, temporary, and laced with loneliness. At home, Maria scrolls through hateful comments directed at her daughter, each word a wound she can't absorb fast enough. She thinks of the night she told Elena to stay quiet, and the years she obeyed that same command herself. She closes her laptop, rises slowly, and picks up her phone. Her thumb hesitates, then types. "My name is Maria Rios. I was one of them." She posts it. The silence breaks again, this time by her own hand. Within hours, Maria's post goes viral. Talk shows quote her words. Survivors respond with gratitude. And for the first time, people see Elena not as a lone crusader, but as a daughter of legacy. One voice born from another. That evening, mother and daughter sit together in the quiet kitchen. No screens, no noise. "You did it," Elena whispers. Maria shakes her head. "No, we did." And the word we feels heavier, holier than justice itself. Later that night, Elena opens her window to the hum of the city. Somewhere, people are still arguing about her. Dissecting, praising, hating. But it no longer feels personal. The truth has outgrown her. The same skyline that once looked indifferent now glows with a quiet kind of approval. Below, the world keeps spinning. Inside, she lets herself rest. Not in triumph, but in truth. 1 year later, the air feels lighter. Not because the world has changed, but because they did. The auditorium buzzes with low murmurs and camera clicks. Elena waits backstage, hands clasped, the silver bracelet shining beneath the stage lights. She's about to receive an award for investigative courage, a title she never sought but earned in blood and silence. Maria stands near the curtain, pride and disbelief etched across her face. "You ready, Mia?" Elena exhales slowly, nodding. "This time, I'll make the scene. On purpose." As she walks on stage, the applause rises like a tide. Elena pauses at the podium, scanning the crowd. Journalists, survivors, strangers turned believers. Her voice steadies. "We're told not to make a scene when something's wrong. But sometimes silence is the scene. And breaking it, that's how we rewrite the ending." The audience quiets, then erupts, not just for her, but for everyone who learned to speak because she did. After the ceremony, reporters swarm her, microphones thrust forward. Elena smiles politely, but she doesn't perform anymore. She speaks with measured grace, no longer pleading to be heard. She's already been. Across the lobby, Maria watches from a distance, her reflection mirrored beside her daughters in the glass doors. 2 generations, once divided by silence, now fused in defiance. Later that night, they return home. The award sits on the kitchen table, plain metal, heavy with meaning. Maria runs her fingers along its edge, smiling faintly. "Do you think it was worth it?" she asks. Elena looks at her, tired but alive. "Every headline fades," she says, "but some scenes last forever." Maria laughs softly, tears catching light. "Then let it last, Mia. Let it last." The next morning, Elena walks along the waterfront, sunrise painting the city in rose and gold. A breeze lifts her hair as she records a new podcast episode, her voice calm, strong, unafraid. "They told me not to make a scene," she says into the mic, smiling. "But the world needed one." Her reflection ripples in the water, not broken, not perfect, but whole. Above her, gulls wheel through the dawn, their cries loud, unashamed.